Anyone else who's reading them? So silence is no or yes? Okay, it's a no. So
No,
you're not reading.
Prabhu.
It takes 15 minutes. Trust me. Just pause yourself a little bit and read these verses. Wherever you feel that you're not able to read the whole word, pause yourself. See it carefully, read it. It's very simple process. Slowly and slowly you'll be able to read it very comfortably. And the effect it has, it's enormous. Over a period of time, you would like to understand the meaning of the direct Sanskrit words also. That is the attraction. You will develop over a period of time. So start reading if you are not reading, please. So what is our today's verse? Where did we finish last week? Anyone?
I think we finished
2.12 we stopped, I guess. We need to move on.
Okay.
maybe
Did we discuss
2.13.
2.12 last week?
I think we finished 2.13.
13 also we finished actually. We need to
Good.
move to
So
14.
last week we discussed 2.13. Very good. Okay. So one thing to keep a track of what we are learning. Second, reading the verses. These just two things you need to do during the week. If you all can do it, we will run very swiftly, and you will be able to digest what we are reading and understanding. Otherwise, you will not be able to digest it. You will not feel the satisfaction. There won't be much understanding. And if there is no understanding, then application is not possible. The two aspects to Bhagavad Gita, Jnana and Vijnana. Jnana is knowledge and understanding. Vijnana is the application. So if you don't read, then there is no Jnana. And because you don't read, and because we don't keep a track, because we don't understand it properly, there cannot be Vijnana. So the whole process will be a waste. Okay? So please read so that we can understand it and apply it in our lives. Silence again. Should I take it as a yes or a no?
Yes, this time.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay. So we read 2.13 and we discussed about that verse last week. Anyone knows what is the message of that verse? You have to reply quick, otherwise we'll waste a lot of time.
Yes. So in 2.13 we learned that a wise person should not get bewildered by these changes of the body, which are from a childhood to a youth to old age, because this is temporary, whereas the soul is eternal, which always remains.
So the message of that verse is soul is eternal and it will be transmigrating from one body to another.
To another. Yeah.
That is from the childhood to the boyhood to the youth to the old age. So what is the message of that verse? Transmigration of the soul. Very simple. What was the message of 2.12? The verse before the last
That's
one?
eternal, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that soul exists
Sorry.
always.
Sorry. What is it?
Soul is eternal, and everyone, like Lord Krishna is saying that Arjuna, Lord Krishna, and all the kings, they were always there and they will always be. So they were eternal. The soul is eternal that exists.
Is that the
It's
message?
only the bodies that.
Is that the message? Complete message?
Mm,
Okay, so
Uh,
in
I don't
2.12
know complete, but
said that
it says
every
soul is eternal and that they always existed.
Is that the complete message? Anyone would like to add to make it
so
complete?
every individual
If
soul has its own identity, and it will
Wonderful.
always remain.
Hmm.
Wonderful. So the most important thing here is eternality and
Individual.
Individuality.
Individuality.
individuality. Very
And
important.
individuality.
So there is
Right.
individuality and there is eternal. So there was always a soul which was existing, and every soul is unique, is an individual. Natvevaham jatu nasham tattvam neme janadipaha nachaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamataha param. Everyone was there. He says Natvevaham, not just you and me, but all these kings were always there. So everybody was there and will always be there. That means everyone is an individual. We don't become one with God. Never. God is different. We are different. It's going to be like that always. That's what Krishna says in 2.12. Very clear. Yes, that's
Yes.
2.12. 2.13, transmigration of the soul. The soul which he described, individual soul, it transmigrates into various bodies. Correct? Even in
yes,
this lifetime as well as in the lifetime after this. So you should not get bewildered by this transmigration of the soul. Okay, so today we will read 2.14 to continue our discussion. Now, so far, Krishna has been speaking about the soul, 2.12 and 2.13. Now, Krishna takes a turn. So we will understand in 2.14, very important verse again of Bhagavad Gita, and the foundation of the whole Bhagavad Gita is set up by these verses. So make sure you read them and understand them very carefully. I'll share my screen. Please repeat after me. Matra sparshastu kaunteya
Matra sparshāstu kaunteya
शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः
शीतोष्ण sukha dukkhadah
Shitoshna Sukha Dukkhada
आगमापायिनो नित्यास्
Agamapaino
आगमापायिनो
Nitya
नित्याः
सांस्थितिक्षस्व भारत
तां
Tam Satikshasva
स्थितिक्षस्व
Bharata
भारत
मात्रा स्पर्शास्तु कौन्तेय
मात्रा
Matra Sparshastu
स्पर्शास्तु
Kaunteya
कौन्तेय
शीतोष्ण सुख दुःखदाः
Sitoshna
शीतोष्ण
Sukha
Shitoshna
Dukkhadaha
Dukkada
आगमापायिनो नित्यास्
Agamapaino
Agamapaino
Nitya
Nitya
सांस्थितिक्षस्व भारत
Tam Satikshasva Bharata
Would someone like to lead?
Bharata.
uh, yeah.
Yeah,
O,
sure.
o son of Kunti, the permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O scion of Bharat, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
That's Sion of Bharat. So Bhagavad Gita, as we started, it's spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where Arjun, who was a very uh, powerful warrior and a renowned Kshatriya, has given up on fighting, kept away his bows and arrows. He doesn't want to fight anymore due to lamentation. What was lamentation? We discussed last week. What is lamentation?
uh,
Lamentation is a deep
continuous.
grief, is a deeper grief, is a bit more than grief. So Arjun had all the skills to fight this war, but he lost his will to fight this war. And when we have all the skills to do something, but we do not have the will to do that, the psychologists or the psychiatrists, they term it as depression. And the reason why Arjun lost the will to fight is because he did not find the need to fight. He did not have the right purpose to fight. So when someone does not have the right purpose to do something, he loses the interest of doing that work. So to the extent we understand the purpose of doing something, we will have the necessary energy, we will have the necessary motivation to tackle all the roadblocks that come during the performance of that activity. So the most important thing in doing any work or any activity is to understand the need of that work, the purpose of that work. And Bhagavad Gita was spoken so that Arjun revives his purpose to fight this war. So the beginning verses of Bhagavad Gita where Krishna starts to speak. What was the first verse where Krishna starts to speak to Arjun, giving message and instructions? What was that verse where he gives his first message?
2.10,
Was it
chap-
2.10?
chapter 2.
Okay, it is chapter 2. Right answer. What is the
11,
verse?
Prabhu?
2.11. Correct. 2.11. He says, Ashocya anvashocastvam pragyavadamshcha bhashase
Oh,
gatasun agatasunshta nanushocanti pandita. He says that you should not lament of what is not worthy of lamentation. You should not lament of not is not what is not worthy of lamentation. Because this body, with or without the life air, is not worthy of lamentation. So do not lament. And the last verse, where Krishna gives his last instruction, the final instructions to Arjun, chapter 18, he says, Sarva
18
dharmana
point.
parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja
Read that.
aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshishyami ma shuchaha. Do not lament,
Mom.
do not fear. Abandon all kind of opinions. Abandon all varieties of thoughts. Abandon all kind of perceived knowledge. Abandon all kind of thoughts that provoke you that you are superior. Abandon all of this. Abandon all what you have learned so far and surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all these sinful reactions, and I will deliver you. I will relieve you from this lamentation. So the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita, the whole message of Bhagavad Gita is to take us out from lamentation. Life of a human is characterized by lamentation. A life of a demigod is characterized by ceaseless enjoyment. A life of an animal is characterized by fear, constant fear. Yasyaham shruyamanayam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktir utpadhyate pumsah shok moh bhayapaha. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 7, Verse 7, 1.7.7. It is said, simply by hearing Krishna Katha, simply by oral reception of Krishna's words, which are also in the form of Bhagavad Gita, which we are reading, one can eradicate these three things: shok, moha, bhaya. Moha is ceaseless enjoyment, shoka is lamentation, fear is bhaya. So Krishna tells Arjun, who is perplexed currently, who is confused, karpanya dosho pahata swabhava. He says in 2.7 that I'm confused of performing my duties. I'm perplexed. So Krishna takes a pause and makes him hear. Yasyaham shruyamanayam. He makes him hear his words to make him come out of the perplexity. So hearing the right words or right words from Krishna, Krishna Katha helps us come out of our lamentation so that we can perform our duties properly. That is why the need of Bhagavad Gita is much more than any time, because currently we have machines which are very fast. We have machines which can do amazing job. Everything goes on virtual. Everything can be performed by the machines, but the man behind that machine is perplexed. He's confused. He's illusioned. He's having mental problems. 50 years ago, there were no medicines of mental health. Today, there are many. And they are bound to increase. So this Bhagavad Gita is very important to fix that perplexed, that confused man, to revive the will to work, to come out of lamentation. So this verse, Krishna says that what is important for anyone to do or perform his duty in a most sustainable way. Krishna says it is tolerance. Tam stitishasva bharata. Tolerance. Tolerance is also known as sahirshuna in Sanskrit. In order to perform or to maintain any kind of activity or a relationship, most important thing is tolerance. Without forgiveness and tolerance, you cannot maintain anything. These are the most important aspects of any performance of activity. And in this verse, Krishna explains how to tolerate these, how to tolerate in order to perform the duties properly. The art of tolerance. So the message of 2.14 is art of tolerance. All verses are different. Please do not consider 2.11 also says the same, 12 also same, 13 also same, 14 15 सब same ही बोलता है, ऐसा नहीं है. Every verse has a different message. 2.14's message is how to tolerate, the art of tolerance. So Krishna explains in a very beautiful way how to tolerate. So generally it is whenever we perform any activity, the performance of that activity is motivated by four different aspects. First is fear. Second is desire or greed. Third is by the call of duty, for duty. And fourth is by love. That is also explained in Bhagavad Gita and further chapters. The highest ones are duty and love, and the most topmost is by love. Krishna explains that. So if you want to perform your duty by these higher aspects of duty and love, you need tolerance. So what is tolerance and how to get the art of tolerating things? Generally, we are distressed or have this pain because we expect our senses. How many senses do we have?
10.
Okay,
5,
5 or 10.
5.
10. 5 कर्म इंद्रियां और 5
Okay,
ज्ञान इंद्रियां.
very nice, Rishi. But as a gross sense, as a basic
Five.
one, will be 5. Yeah, just so if we just take the senses, basic senses, we have 5 senses. You are correct, Rishi, you're not wrong, but that is a more deeper answer.
Okay.
In future chapters we'll discuss that. So just keeping it to the basic understanding, we have 5 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch. Yeah, 5 senses. Now our expectation is that whenever any of these senses, when they come in contact with the sense objects, we should experience pleasure. This is our expectation. So with eyes, we see a form. With ears, we hear sounds. With nose, we smell odors. With tongue, we taste things, food. And with our skin or the, we touch. So our expectation is that whenever we do any activity with any of these 5 senses, that we touch, smell, see, hear, it should bring pleasure. But when it is otherwise, that is, when we do not receive pleasure, when the senses come in contact with sense objects, it brings pain, distress. Yes.
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 Now Krishna explains very beautifully that how to tolerate this distress. Because when you are aware, when you are in full knowledge that these senses can also bring in distress, then there will not be perplexity. Then there will not be pain. So there are two things when you have pain or distress. One is you live with that pain, and the other thing is you live in that pain. You have those two choices. So living with the pain is being in knowledge, and living in pain is insanity. Krishna explains in chapter 5, verse 22. यही संस्पर्शचा भोगा दुःखयोनः एवते आद्यांतवन्तः कौन्तेय नतेषु रमते बुधः. Can someone read the translation of this verse? Bhagavad Gita 5.22.
An intelligent person does not take part in the sources of misery, which are due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
Agam apaino anityas. He says that these pleasures which you get from these all these senses, they have a beginning and an end, and they have anityas. They are unexpected, whether it will be good or bad, will be pleasurable or unpleasurable. So you don't take delight in that. But we always want pleasure. Whenever we talk to someone, we want to hear glorification. Whenever we want to see something, we want to see something very nice. So all this virtual era which we are going through at the moment, being online, television, TV, Netflix, Amazon, Z5, whatever you name it, all these are created so that we have a perfect picture syndrome that is developed over a period of time. Anything which comes online, on TV, phone, tablets, it is picture perfect. We see that and we expect our life to match it. But when it does not happen, we have pain, distress. Yes. Hello, everyone
Yes.
there?
Yep.
Does it make
Yes.
sense?
Yeah.
So what is the way out? The way out is awareness, the understanding. So Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya. So we'll go one by one. So these are just the touch, or they are just a sound. They are just a vision. They are just a taste. Do not expect it to be good or bad. So starting with our eyes, as we said that. So we want to see everything perfect. Yes. The forms which we want to see, everything perfect. But we cannot have that in our real life, unfortunately. Next one, is the sound. When someone praises us, when someone speaks very nice about us, that is when our ego is fed. It's very sweet to our ego. But when someone criticizes us, yeah, that is a painful situation. It's distressful situation. What is the way out? Is the awareness that when I am dealing with someone, it might bring in some ill things which may not be pleasant to my ears. We should be aware that the discussion between any two people will always not always be pleasant. That understanding before that will help you mitigate that distress. Now, once a husband and a wife, they came to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is our guru, founder, acharya of ISKCON. So they came to him and they said that individually, the husband said that my wife keeps on shouting all the time. She keeps fighting with me. It's very hard to deal with her. And the lady, she came, said, he always, he doesn't praise me at all. He always is chastising me every now and then. So Srila Prabhupada said that you fight, no problem, but don't shout. Continue fighting. I'm not telling you to stop fighting, but remove shouting from it. Just fight amicably if you can. So they went back and they came after a few days. And Srila Prabhupada asked them, how's everything going? How is your married life? They said, it's quite peaceful. He said, okay, so you don't fight anymore? He said, yeah, we tried fighting without shouting, but there was no fun. So we stopped it. So the sound, also can produce happiness or it can produce distress. But we should learn how to tolerate it. And tolerance can only be possible when there is enough knowledge beforehand. So Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya. It is only a sensory perception. What is perception? So it's matra sparsha. So sparsha is the senses, Matra is the perception, the sensory perception. What is a perception?
Illusion.
How you perceive, yeah, like
What is perception?
My view,
Okay.
or the way I
it's
understand
not the
things.
reality, it's not the reality or the truth. Yeah, it's something that we see. It's
It
our
can
way
be a
of seeing
reality.
the thing.
It also can be a reality. Yeah.
It can be, but not sure. Like, yes, sometimes
Interpretation.
we perceive it's not the truth.
Interpretation.
Ha,
Okay. Anything
like our
anything else? What is
interpretation of the
perception?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Our yeah. Our interpretation of it. Anything else? Any other point?
we perceive things.
So can perception differ?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So
Yes, Prabhu.
sensory perception. So everybody can have different. So say for example, a bowler is bowling and the batsman is playing. Now he put a very good ball. Yeah. And the batsman is out. So perception from the bowler's end He threw a very good ball, yeah. But will the batsman come and tell him, very nice ball? No, right? So where are you looking from makes the perception different.
Prabhu, can I share a story very beautiful about the perception? Some people must have heard it already. Can I share, Prabhu?
If it's not too long, yes, Mataji.
Oh, Prabhu, very small.
Sure, sure.
Um, there were five people, so they were blindfolded, and they were asked to tell, like there was an animal. So they said, "Tell us what kind of animal it is." So basically, it was an elephant, but everybody was given the different part. So one touched the trunk of the elephant. They said it's like a snake. So one touched the legs. So he said it's like a trunk of the tree. Then one touched, I think, the body part. So they said, oh, it's very huge and bulky. So and I think one touched the ear. So they said it's like a fan. So they had different perceptions, but when they opened their eyes, it was elephant, or it was even closer to what it was in reality. So they had different perceptions of animal, like of elephant, but yeah, in truth, it
Absolutely.
was different.
Absolutely. So the perception will differ.
Thank.
So these contact of senses with the sense objects is just a perception. First thing. Then what he says, and the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress. This is very important. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada. So these happiness and distress, they are like summer and winter. They come and then they go. This is very important to understand. That currently your sense object is giving you a bitter experience. So you're hearing something bad about yourself, but that is not the end of it. You may hear something good about you again. So what you are eating at the moment is bitter or bad at the moment, but sweet is coming. You're having a bad time at the moment with your work, with your finances, with your relationship, whatever it could be. But it is not the end of it. The good things are coming. So one person came to Srila Prabhupada again. He said that, Srila Prabhupada, whenever I do any kind of a work, I'm not getting any recognition. No one praises me. Even when I do perfect, I get, in the return, I only get bad things. Even if I've done everything perfect, I get this. Why is that so? The answer was very beautiful, Srila Prabhupada. He said, in previous life or in your past life, you must have got a lot of recognition, a lot of fame, a lot of benefits without doing anything. So it is just a circle. So if the good times are going on, don't just think that they will go on forever. The bad will arise. But even if the bad comes in, do not think that will go on forever. The good things are. That's the understanding. That's the awareness from this verse. So he says, Shitoshana Sukha Dukkhada, just like the summer and winter, these happiness and distress, they are a circle. They keep on coming back and going. Agam apaino anityas. Says they have a beginning and then they have an end. Agam apaino. Appearing and disappearing. So they come and then they go. So beginning and end. So they keep rotating. Anityas, they are non-permanent. They are temporary. So what is the action to be performed? When you have these kind of experiences,
Tolerance.
just tolerate. Just try to tolerate them. Titikshasva Bharata. Tams titikshasva Bharata. So when you learn this, when you are aware, when you are in full knowledge of these happiness and distress situations, then you will be able to tolerate, plan to tolerate them. You'll be able to understand, plan, and be able to tolerate them. Understand this, they are like that. Do not expect your senses to receive pleasure all the time. Yes. And what makes us feel that we will be able to enjoy, or we will be able to get pleasure from something, is the way we see something. I'll give you an example. Duryodhan. Okay. Duryodhan had all the wealth. He had everything. And he defeated the Pandavas in the gambling match with the help of Shakuni. He took away everything from them. But he was still unhappy. He was not happy. And someone asked him, Dhritarashtra asked him, why are you still not happy? You have everything now. You took away everything from the Pandavas. Why are you still not happy? He said, until I flaunt everything in front of them and see that they are living a miserable life, until I boast everything what I have and see that they are miserable, I will not be happy. So he set up a tent right in front of the Pandavas where they were in the forest for 12 years of exile which he had given them. So they had set up a place in the forest. So right opposite to them, he set up a tent so that he can enjoy. He had a party with Karna and all his friends, so that they can see that he is happy and they are miserable. That made him happy. But what happened in the end? The Gandharvas attacked him and he was made a prisoner. And he had to beg Yudhishthir and Bhim to save him. So how we see pleasure in something is the most important thing. That derives our nature. So Duryodhan was a very passionate person. He's a very passionate person. So what do you derive pleasure in something? How do you derive pleasure in something? Say you have a desire to have a very beautiful car, very luxurious car. Yeah. So you have it now. But if your neighbor or your known person gets a better luxurious car than that and flaunts in front of you, does it still make you happy with the car you have? Then you are in a very good state of mind. But if it irritates you and reduces the pleasure of your own car, you are not in the right mode of nature. You have to improve. We will learn further in Bhagavad Gita. This is our nature. I'm just
Prabhuji,
giving yeah.
I have a question, Rishi.
Yes, Rishi.
Prabhuji, I've been meditating on this verse for some time.
2.14. Yeah.
Yes, and trying to see if I can implement. One of the effects or side effects is now when something good happens, I don't feel as excited. Is that a natural
That's very
reaction?
nice actually. So when something good happens, you feel good, but don't get excited. Very good.
Yes, I feel good, but it is temporary. Like I
Very
know,
big.
okay, this will also go.
Yeah. So the difficult part is handling the excitement.
Hmm.
So when there is something bad happening to us, distress is natural. We don't have to work much on getting the distress. Yeah, distress will come, but to hold the excitement is the important part.
Okay, so I'm
People
on.
are
Yeah.
able to manage what they have in the distress or in the bad times, but when they have a lot of money and power, that's what they cannot handle. That's why there's a lot of problems in the world. So you should
Okay.
be able to handle both sides. Yeah, so that's good. That's a very good realization.
Okay.
Yeah, also, in fact, that has made stop, posting anything on FB, LinkedIn, any of the social media. No need to communicate to anyone or take communication back from anyone. Whatever is happening is good. No problem at all.
But to understand our own self, we need to reflect on our own selves. What do I get pleasure in? Like, you know, I remember the olden days, here we don't have that much of power cut, but back in India, we would have power cut. But the first thing we will do when we lose power in our house is go and check the neighbor. उसके अगर घर
Absolutely.
पे light है ना, then there is a big problem. We are not happy. लेकिन अगर उसके घर पे light नहीं है ना, we are at peace. Are we that? Literally from inside? That is mode of passion. So where do you see pleasure? What do you see pleasure in? What do you see happiness in? Do you see happiness in your own self, or do you see happiness in your own self as well as you see that someone should go down as well? He should not get it. They should not get it. Do you feel pleasure in that? That means there is a problem. We need to improve. So being in the mode of goodness by doing certain activities, devotional service, we will be able to have that kind of a good natured peace and happiness.
So, Prabhu, isn't that mode of ignorance what we are talking about when you like what Duryodhan was into? He
So
was
that
in
is
mode
mode
of
of
passion,
passion.
but he dropped
That
down to mode of ignorance when he wanted to see them sad, to see him. Um,
okay.
right,
So
Prabhu?
how do we differentiate between mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance? Is that okay? This is what I want, so I'll go and try and get it with fair means. That is mode of goodness. I'll do anything to get that. Yeah, not up to the extent
Passion.
of killing someone though, but I will try and make all sorts of ways to get that, even if I have to make someone down for that. That is mode of passion. Mode of
Passion. Okay.
ignorance is that I will
And
somehow get it even
ignorance.
if I have to kill that person or destroy that person to the extent. That is mode of ignorance. So he did go into the mode of ignorance, but at a different time. But this
Yeah,
has
Prabhu,
been
like he was in mode of passion when he, yeah.
yeah, he
Like,
was into
Prabhu,
mode
my
of
understanding
ignorance.
is when he took Shakuni's help. Sorry, Prabhu,
Yeah,
there's a lag. Yeah, I'm saying like Duryodhana was in mode of passion when he took Shakuni's help to take everything.
yeah,
But then he went into mode of ignorance
yeah.
when they were in exile, Pandavas were in exile, and he was, sitting there in a tent and flaunting, like,
So
trying to give them pain.
if we want something in our life
Yeah.
and we go and kill a person to get that, that is mode of ignorance. Okay. But mode of
No, Prabhu,
passion,
I'm asking
the
that
higher
was
mode of
Duryodhan,
passion is that when we
yeah,
achieve
Duryodhan went
something,
into different modes.
but we are not still
Yeah.
happy, but we, if someone doesn't get it and we get it, we are happy. That is mode of passion. Does it make sense? What gives you pleasure? Does getting that something which you want, or getting that something and also making sure others don't get it?
Yeah, but when you get it, it's more of passion because you made effort. But when you are happy
No,
to
no,
see
no,
the
no, 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 no,
others
no,
not
no, no,
having
no,
it is more of
no, no,
ignorance.
no, no, no. When you get it and you make sure that the others don't get it, or if others get it, you feel bad, that is mode of passion.
More of ignorance.
No, that is mode of passion.
Really? Okay, that
Yeah,
is bad too.
yeah. So if,
Oh.
yeah, so if
Something
someone
like
else,
position, Prabhu, right? Position
yeah,
in
yeah, yeah, anything,
a.
anything for that matter. If someone else got it, you didn't get it, you feel
Okay.
bad. If he got it, you got it, he didn't get it, you feel good. Yeah, and then you go. If he got it, then you go and kill him to get it. That is ignorance. Okay, to the extreme.
So
If
basically,
you go,
Prabhu, when you, yeah, when you get happiness, and when you give pain to others to get become happy, right? That's it's more of ignorance.
correct, correct.
When you're happy to see others pain, right? Yeah. Okay.
When you are,
Fine, Prabhu.
when
Thank
you
you.
are not happy to see others fame is passion. But when you give pain to others to get your own happiness is ignorance. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhu. Yep.
Good. So the verse coming back to 2.14 is emphasizing on that whatever comes to our life, whatever happiness or distress comes to our life, we have to embrace it. We have to tolerate it. And how? Krishna explains it. Okay. So what is the message of 2.14?
Tolerate the sensory
Art of
perceptions.
Tam
this is
Stitikshassu
Art of
Bharata.
tolerance.
yeah.
Yes. Tolerate.
Comes the picture.
Tolerate. How to
How to
tolerate.
tolerate the
Now why?
vicissitudes of
So
life, Prabhu, the ups
suddenly
and
you see
downs in life,
Krishna has now
sorrows and
started discussing about the body. Okay. So you will see Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2 as a glimpse of different aspects analytically. What is analysis?
Sankhya, counting.
Breaking down in
Correct. Breaking down in different aspects.
different aspect. Yeah.
So soul, he's explaining senses now. He'll explain different, and then he'll club them all together. That's called dialysis. So when you explain something, you break it into different parts and then bring them all together so that they make sense. Bhagavad Gita is very well organized in this way. So chapter 2 is like an index of the whole Bhagavad Gita. So he's explaining a glimpse of everything. Krishna is giving a glimpse of soul, glimpse of senses, glimpse of body, glimpse of mind. He'll give all that. And then all these little aspects he will explain in detail in the various chapters. And then bring them all together to give the right message. So it's very well organized. So you can even have your corporate presentation based on how the format of Bhagavad Gita is, using analysis, dialysis, and then sending the message. Okay, just an add-on. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Prabhuji Kshitij here. One quick question.
Yeah.
The way I understand mode of goodness, mode of passion, or mode of ignorance, the sattva, raja, tama, as we call it, I actually understand it by Ramayan's example of three brothers, where Ravana is the one who is passionate, Vibhishan is in the mode of goodness, where he surrenders to the God, and Kumbhakaran is where he is in mode of ignorance. But how do we understand the characteristics of person who is in completely mode of ignorance?
So you want to understand a person, or you want to understand your own self?
Of course, self, but
Okay, good.
where we sit in all three of these aspects, because we have 24 hours of the day.
Hmm.
Definitely, when we go to sleep, we are in mode of ignorance, where and 8 hours we work, so we are in mode of passion to maintain and live in our well-being. We don't spend much time for our goodness or the sattva gun that we want to build, is what I kind of relate. And that's what I'm trying to understand. When we say mode of ignorance, what is that characteristic or qualities that we have in our body or soul, which we need to reduce?
So the mode is based on not the activity itself, but the purpose, the motivation of the activity.
Mhm.
So if you are sleeping so that you can wake up early in the morning and do some chanting or do some meditation, do some, good work in the morning, read some verses and then go to work, do your karma, then you are in the mode of goodness. So the reason you're sleeping is so that you can wake up afresh and do some sattvic activities. But if you had a lot of drink, alcohol over the night, and you slept at 4 a.m. in the morning, and you woke up at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you said, oh man, I have slept too late in the night. That's why I woke up late. I had to take 8 hours of sleep. What mode that will be?
Yeah, that will be again ignorance.
So both have slept 8 hours. Yeah. Even the person who woke up at 1 p.m., he also went to work and did his job. Okay. घर पे नहीं बैठा था वो काम किया उसने दारू पीने के बाद भी very nice isn't it but what more did he work with so the motivation and the purpose defines what
Mhm.
mode you are in
Okay. Okay, makes sense.
not just the activity itself so sleeping eating this is normal we have to do that otherwise you can't survive but what is the motivation behind it because you had too many drinks so you had to sleep that sleep is not motivated by goodness right does it make sense
Yep. Hmm.
because you watched movies long late night till 2 a.m. and that made you wake up late in the morning, that cannot be the reason why you are not, in the mode of goodness. Because you chose to be like that. You are in the mode of ignorance. Ignore that. So not the activity itself, but the motivation behind it defines it.
Yeah. Okay.
Does it answer your question?
Yes. Yes. Yep. I think I'm more inclined towards chapter three, waiting desperately for karma yoga.
Still, yeah. Chapter two will
But
take a bit of time.
let's see when we get there.
Chapter two will take a bit of time because it's
Yeah.
very important to
Yeah.
understand chapter two. But we
The
will
part
also
of three
touch,
is discussed in chapter two also, Prabhu.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So we
Yeah.
Yeah,
will
the
also
karma
touch a
yoga will
few
come.
karma
Yeah,
yoga
here
in
also.
chapter two. Yeah,
Yeah, it will be touched.
yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other question from anyone else? From the invisible participants?
No, Prabhuji, no question.
No? Okay.
No.
All right. Okay then. Thank you very much. Have a nice
Thank you,
week ahead.
Prabhu,
Hare
for the
Krishna.
beautiful class.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone.